housing. We know that housing is going to be across the county. We don't have enough housing. We want to be able to see that opportunities to the table that will allow us to add to the infrastructure that housing across the county. And then, of course, infrastructure roads are a big deal. So the U.S. Propel 3031 project, I think that there's a lot of concern, especially in Argos, that the voices here are going to be ignored. Our goal is to make sure that we're a voice in that process and throw our support behind what the people of Argos want, or state of Argos, to make sure that those voices are not discovered. Granted, there's only so much we can do, but our goal is to make sure we have players at the table that the state is going to be most likely to listen to, and really, as a board, having those voices from the supporting, especially the town of Argos, process is really important. The next initiative area that we're going to focus on is quality of life, quality of place. This comes in with the arts and culture sector, so this is kind of my strength area. I work with the director. One of our big pivots in the last decade has been prioritize how we can help empower local arts and culture organizations, recognizing that in a rural setting, a lot of them are fighting for dollars. They're trying to do their best for maintain operations. So we want to help them bring these organizations to work together so with one another or we market and help them drive the investment in the economic development of the county that draws people, that draws money, that draws opportunity that they have in the ways that ultimately they express it from the county. So that's been really encouraging now with this South Bend Arts and Culture Initiative Plan, which was a plan that was created through this ready process when the William Endowment gave $65 million to the Indiana Economic Development Corporation to distribute the arts and culture life projects. There is now pot of money through the IEDC that we can take advantage of if we're able to put forward the information on that just came out was it's going to be similar to Ready 2.0, but it's a 4-to-1 match, and it'll be reimbursable based on. And so that will pay from the project period February 2024 to the end of 2028. I'm sharing with you specifically because if there were new investments that the town of Argos had made in February 2024, so the planning stage in 2028, that aligned with the region's Arts and Culture plan, there is a good case to be made for applying for the Ready 2.0 application to get that 20%. So one of the things that we'll be doing at the County Board is talking further about the potential to bring town projects, applications together under an umbrella so that one County will serve as a nonprofit either every town collectively can apply for the funds. I think that would be the most likely way to draw the biggest amount of funding. There's no guarantee that they're going to go to rural areas. There's no guarantee that it goes to every region. So there's a big possibility that I'm just going to support the big high-level projects in the future. So even more compelling, we make our case by talking about the collaboration that has this process of help so always free to talk more in detail about anybody that's interested in that, questions about that. We share next week, Lisa. And then also the rural health grant movement initiative option in the state. We recognize the challenges that we have with healthcare access in Marshall County. So this is a great opportunity, hopefully, to address some of those gaps through the making it again grant initiative coming from the state. And so we have a few people on the Marshall County board that are actually engaged in that process. And so that'll be our next initiative as we get to this week. And then also business and workforce growth. That is our third strategy. And we're going to prioritize and be sure that people in Marshall County have good jobs, they get paid well for those jobs. Conversations happening tonight. How do we be competitive in this landscape? As some of you have mentioned, having a place where people want to live is a big part of that. How do we help bring in the dollars that help make these towns places that people want to live? How can we help support the type of infrastructure ecosystem that allows us to pay people that we think they deserve to get paid for doing the work that we're very grateful for? Obviously, that's a very complex dynamic, but I think the ability to do is to wider range workforce in Marshall County. And so the fourth mission is collaboration. So as I was talking about earlier in the dynamic production culture sector, the more that we're working together, joint cooperation at the state level, the more likely we are to get bigger amounts of money to distribute to municipalities. So this is a big part of what Marshall County is all about. That's a big part about why I've been excited to be involved in this work since 2019. I think every time that I learn about one of the problems facing the county, it's really good to be here to listen to what's going on here. The more that we can be in positions to advocate for and on behalf of residents. And so our biggest goal is just make sure that we continue to have that dialogue, that we're addressing the concerns that counterparts may have moving forward and help strengthen application opportunity. And that's pretty much it. I mentioned the very role grant. We right now are asking for money. The hope is that we will be able to get money from other ways and asking municipalities. Right now, it's over and Plymouth and the redevelopment solutions that help support the homeless economy and big private donations as well as the big question.
I got one,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of thinking about, we were talking about the arts project, funding from that. We know, or at least we hope we know, that something's going to happen out here. That some of the proposals that we've seen, of course, include different aspects of road construction, places where there could be opportunities without going into too many details on that right now. There are places and opportunities possibly in them designs that possibly some sort of statue or some sort of artwork design or something to highlight, you're entering the town of Argos or some, I don't know if something like that can coordinate and work into that project. I know that doesn't really start probably until 2028, hopefully sooner, but that's just kind of where my mind is roaming with that. Is I've seen that in other places in Wisconsin where you get off of the interstate, you're going into Pigat, whatever, and you got to stop there at the top of the hill, and there's a monument of welcome to their town or welcome to their city, or this is the city of great owls, or something, just something like that. I just think that there's a value to that of some sort.
I think that there's a value to that creative way of thinking about how you can get funding for something that may or may not be considered that well. Absolutely. I think the benefit of the state getting investment in getting down the distribution of production culture is the way of saying they'd like to see public cultural components tied into public projects. There had to be funding for that. So I would think that you're keeping public engagement positive as a complementary project for that development on that street would be a good way to think about it. And when I'm talking to you about, if you, one of the things, the payment that came from Argos County for the stone sculpture, for example, already matching funds on the table and those projects together that you realize have aligned with this. You have the benefit of being engaged with the Marshall County Arts and Culture Council in one Marshall County during that retrospective period. So you technically have been part of the strategic plan development process. So that's why you can say, yeah, because of this alignment with these initiatives, you are on the strategic plan. This alignment with these projects that we have been working on, investments we've made in parks, trails, downtown beautification projects, facades, any potential murals that we were going for that. These are all for that.
And just where my mind was going with that, obviously the construction is the most important thing for safety, but if there was something like that could be added to that as an enhancement to maybe take the roughness of it, of just being a construction project at the end of the day, take some of that away and soften the landscape a little bit, make it look a little more friendly coming into town or going the other way. There's many different ways you can look at it, but that's just kind of where my mind is going, because that's going to look pretty raw out there for a while.
Minutes from the January 28th, 2025 regular session. We have a motion and a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the January 28th, 2025 regular session. Actually, that should be 2026. Regular session.
Sorry.
I was just reading it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Citizens input. Rhonda? Put you on the spot. All right, moving along. Attorney report.
Hey guys, I do have a few things here. One, we do need to have a public hearing at this point in time concerning an annexation. We did get a petition for annexation in the town of Argos. I sent an email to you folks back on January 29th to kind of give you a heads up about this and it's coming. We did advertise this public hearing. We had this advertised on January 22nd. So we're good to go to have a public hearing, and that's kind of the first order of business that we need to tackle concerning this annexation.
Tonight, we need to have one.
Right now.
Move to open public hearing on the reference to Rutger annexation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to open the public hearing. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And again, just for the public, I can give you a little more information. It's a petition that was signed by Jennifer Lynn Taylor and Andrew J. Rutger. Maybe it's Rutger. I'm sorry. It's a 2.8 acre parcel located at 17177 Kenilworth Road in Argos. It's currently zoned agricultural. They're asked to be annexed into the town. They represent 100% of the ownership of this parcel. The land is contiguous, which means it has to have a border of greater than 1/8% to the existing town corporate boundaries. That's well met. And so again, they're asking to be annexed, and that's basically the subject that we're here to talk about at our public hearing. There is also a fiscal plan. Utilities are already in place, and basically all of the utilities, basically sewer and water, have already been provided to them. They are part of the town, so that's already it's been accomplished. And again, step 2, once we get through our public hearing, is there was a thing called a fiscal plan that had to be developed. There are no new services that need to be put forward by the town to service this property. Police and fire would serve it, not that they wouldn't prior, but basically step 2.
They have water, sewer, and electric all ready to go.
From the town, correct. It's been that way before the petition was filed. No, well, I should say, not that I'm aware
No,
of.
he is not.
It's a 2.88 acre parcel, so it's not a.
Matter of fact, he's trying to buy more land around him so nobody can build it. He's not going to decide.
Yep.
And he's, yeah.
I'm not aware of any intentions, but again, that doesn't have to be named where it needs to. But just
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, still on this same subject, guys. Again, the fiscal plan, I sent that back to you at the end of January. There are no new services that would need to be provided by the town. I trust you've had a chance to look that over. This does need to be approved before we consider an ordinance that would basically approve the adoption of this parcel of real estate being annexed into the town. So just a simple voice vote concerning the fiscal plan.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the fiscal plan. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
You're welcome. One more thing. Concerning this annexation, I understand it's ordinance 2026-2. Correct, Lisa? Okay. And that is basically an ordinance that would effectuate annexing this property that we've been talking about into the corporate limits of the town of Argos. Well, I sent it to everybody in a draft. I did make one revision because the date concerning basically the public hearing was not correct, but I did correct that. And so we now have an ordinance that I believe is just prepared to be passed, but of course it can be passed only on a first reading, or it can be passed on all three readings. But it's up to the pleasure of the council.
I move to suspend the rules.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to pass on all three readings.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass on all three readings, ordinance number 2026-02. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
This is a corrected version with corrected dates, so that's the one that we would want to have signed. A couple of other things just to kind of keep you guys on board and up to speed. Jamie and I have been working on revisions to the sewer ordinance. It does involve some new, the sewer rates are not going to change, but there are some additional, some new charges. So there's going to be a new rates and charges ordinance. There's also going to be some revisions to the existing ordinance. It's nothing significant, nothing like we did with the water. But I think we're ready to move forward with that. I'm just kind of giving you the heads up that I think at the next meeting, you may see documents pertaining to that. I may even go ahead and schedule a public hearing that's going to be required concerning that we're talking about rates and charges and modifying those. So with the town council's approval, we'll go ahead and I can schedule a public hearing. And then we can take a look at, there's going to be two ordinances. One, again, to kind of modify the town code and just some of the rules and regulations about sewers. And then also changing the rates and charges. And again, it's not the sewer rates, so these rates are going to jump right up, but it is concerning the system development charge for basically new businesses, new companies, new residents coming to town to have that cleared up.
Make a motion to allow Derek to move forward with the amendments and things needed to amend the sewer rates. And ordinance goes with that.
But I would like to add that I'd like to see it before we just jump into a public hearing.
Absolutely, and I understand, and I can send drafts of those documents out well before the meeting, not the day before.
That'd be wonderful.
Second.
Next year, we're gonna doubt all this, we might kind of sit down with that, do it all at once. Or we can do this, do that later, how you guys want to.
Councilmember Sneed seconded the motion. Do you have any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
One last thing, guys, and then I will touch on the cemetery request proposals or the quote for bid, but under my basically heading here under the attorney report, just to let you know, the town moved forward with purchasing a fire truck. It's been a long time ago. The thing is getting pretty close to being ready and done, but that's going to be a lease to the fire territory. I have prepared a lease agreement. Lisa asked that I prepare that. She's had a chance to look at that. She feels like it's okay, and that's something that it's kind of contingent on when the fire truck actually gets delivered. But it's at a point where I feel like what I've prepared is ready for you guys to take a look at. Lisa agrees. So that's again something I'm going to send to you. I don't think we're going to pass this at our next meeting unless that fire truck just kind of shows
It
up.
won't be here.
But I am saying I want you to look at kind of the nuts and the bolts of this thing, okay? And we want to have comments on that because is there going to be any kind of changes with that? We need to address that now rather than wait until we got a fire truck sitting in the parking lot and we don't have a lease. So I want to have everything filled in except for numbers, dates, things like that. But I think we're in a position now to just, again, I'm just letting you know, heads up, this is coming. So it's probably going to come to a head here pretty soon. So I'll get that lease to you folks. So if there's any issues or problems, anything you want to see changed, again, other than numbers, other than dates, we can address that. That's all I have to report on that.
To approve the attorney's report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the attorney report. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Ordinance 2026-01, salary ordinance amendment, second and third reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the salary ordinance amendments 2026-01 on second and third reading. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. This will come around here in a second. Cemetery RFP approval.
Can I pick up with this?
You certainly can.
Okay.
I'd appreciate it.
Guys, this is basically the current mowing and, well, basically it's the mowing and maintenance contract that we have for the cemetery out there at Maple Grove. It will expire. It has expired, actually. So we're looking to basically get bids for a new contract. It'll be a term for 2 years. I know there were several emails. I'm sorry, I was in a hearing all morning and had kind of a busy day. But it is kind of confusing when you look at it. But this is a 2-year contract. And we are asking for bids of a one lump sum number, okay?
The part I messed up.
Well, and again, you really got to read this carefully to understand it. That's exactly how it was structured the last time, just so everybody's aware. But in terms of the payments, they would basically be getting payments on May, July, September, November of each of the 2 years of the contract. So it would only be at 12.5% of their total bid. And again, remember, a 2-year contract, we're expecting a bid that has one lump sum number. And so when we divide that out, that would be an appropriate payment.
Which is what confused me from the last time. The last time, if I remember right, it was, hey, give us what it would cost for 2 separate years. And there was a slight difference.
Well, actually, the last contract was the same. This is very little change from what we've operated on 2 years prior. Okay? And so we're really kind of trying to stay consistent with this thing. This has not been advertised yet, and that's why I wanted to present this to you folks to make sure that everybody's okay with things. But the way it's kind of set up is, again, it's a 2-year term. April 15 of 26 until the end of the term would be November 1 of 27. So it's not a full 24 months, but it's basically 2 years of mowing is what it amounts to. Now, the way it's also set up is that we would get this advertised. We would have bids due by March 9 of this year. We would open those bids on March 11 of 2026. And I'd also point out that we're asking for 2 independent references. So the council has some time to kind of take a look at whoever submitted bids here. And then we would consider those bids and make an award, hopefully, at the meeting on March 25th. That's kind of cutting our time close, to be honest. but that's kind of the boat that we're in terms of having to advertise bids. Take a look at those, have at least time between two meetings, or one meeting, I should say, to be able to consider them. So that's what we have. And again, this has not yet been advertised. I think tonight what I'm looking for is if we need any changes, okay. But if not, then we need to get this thing advertised.
You were going to be in trouble. You don't have anybody going to.
Correct. It's really the same thing. Those are synonymous terms.
And that's why I said that. I was confused because when I said bid, I told it's not a bid.
I thought we were just asking for, you know.
We are. Bids, quotes, proposals, those are all synonymous terms. But when we're doing it this way, we need to advertise that. And again, we don't have to advertise. This is a service contract, okay? So the town could just pick out, Ray, we want you to go mow it, and you say, I'm willing to do it, great. Okay, we don't have to advertise these things, but it is a good way to get basically a competitive bid from various companies. We've had a company in the past, we've had several companies in the past, and so the town has some experience with that, but it is a good way just to put it out there in the public and say, anybody wants to put a bid in, great. And whether you want to call it a bid, quote, proposal, it doesn't matter, it's the same difference.
Make a motion for the town attorney to move forward with advertising stuff for the contract. Maybe vote.
Have a motion and a second to proceed with the cemetery RFP. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Derek.
You're welcome, guys. We'll get it put up in paper and take a look March 9th.
Any other?
I'm sorry, March 11th.
Any other old business? New business? You've got, there's a letter of intent for the police commission in here?
There is, I said they wanted to let it run through about 30 days. I turned it in because I wanted to be available
Okay.
for when, you make the decision. I didn't know when you wanted to do that. But let the ad run for about 30 days. I figured that would be a thing.
Okay.
But if you wanted,
We'll wait and see, and then we can tackle it at the next meeting.
it's on the sign, it's on the resolution.
Thank you. No other new business. Claims, January 27th, 2026 to February 10th, 2026.
Oh, stop. Oh. So the claims are $410,070.06.
Second.
With a motion and second to approve the claims in the amount of $410,070.06 for the period of 1/27/26 to 2/11/26. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Second.
And a motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, here's the claims form.